we good?
We are good,
We are
and
good.
it is
All good.
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
I'm
Great
asking.
on this
Are you good?
Wednesday.
Of course it's good. That's why I'm asking the question. Are we good? Absolutely, we're good. Here on a Wednesday, September 2nd, the second day of September, guys. We're almost near fall. School has started for a lot of us. What's going on, good people? We got a gaggle here today. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Got
Let's
a
get it.
gaggle.
We got a
Let's
gaggle.
get it.
We got Renee Nate, a two-time. I said two-time WNBA champ. She's down in the A. D
You
Dubs,
know it.
where you at, D Dubs?
I'm still in Ponce de Leon Street in Royal Palm Beach, Florida.
Okeechobee, Lake
Oh,
Okeechobee.
Lake Okeechobee.
Okay.
We didn't have any rain today, so we good. Still smoking outside. It's hot, but it's
Okay.
all good.
Backstrokes or breaststrokes? What are we doing? Sound to you.
Backstroke, just
Okay.
relaxing, taking it back,
I would
Matrix
too.
style.
I would too. Absolutely. He's a Matrix style. Kelly Wells, our Olympian. What it do?
Hey.
down in Houston?
Hey,
What up?
I like
What
that.
up? What up? And look at all this. Look at me and Renee. Look at this.
I know this is some serious girl power here. We got two champions. We got a bronze
Champions.
Olympic medalist. We got
We
a
got an Olympian,
and we got a
Well, we got a
dunker.
two-time champ serving face tonight.
and
if
we
I
got
do that.
Larry Laptop.
Oh, that ain't nothing. Ain't nobody talking about him. It ain't nothing but an ultra perm. What's up,
Oh,
baby?
my God.
What's up, A Willie?
What's good? What's good? Glad to be here to talk about some of this stuff we got going on. A lot to unpack.
Well, you got your shirt that says "Fighting's" right there. You ready to show some fight? You gonna fight today?
Yeah, it's in my DNA, man. That's what my shirt says.
Okay.
That's
all
what we
right, all
do.
right. A Willie, the former scout, man at Nike, Red Sox, Phoenix Suns, Major League Baseball, NBA. We got Renee, the two-time WNBA champ. We got our Olympic bronze medalist, Kelly Wells Brinkley, of course, fellow sportscaster, NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists, Dorian Worrell, and Coach K back there pushing all of the right buttons, Kevin Mamuzet. Guys, Esports Extra, the only live call-in sports show talking traditional sports, esports, and gaming. We'll take your phone calls, 877-853-5247. That meeting ID is Esports Extra. That's 377-678-9872. Hit the pound button twice to join the show. Larry Ridley here, SNY TV, a little NBC Sports, a little Madden NFL, a little NBA 2K League. Very special today. Madden 21 just came out a week ago. I've got some codes to give away. At the end of the show, ladies, they're already tying up the phone lines. Coach K's back there like the radio station, like, what do I do?
I'm calling number 20.
We're going to prompt you at the end of the show. We'll probably take the fourth call or something like that. We'll come up with a number. We'll tell you to call, and you got to recite something that we talked about during the show. So, but we're going to give it away. I got Xbox. I got PS4. We got everything you need right here for Madden 21 with LJ Era, Lamar Jackson on the cover. All right, guys, big show. We're talking NBA playoffs, a couple of game sevens, C's and Raptors. I told you about the green team. Y'all didn't listen to me. I told y'all. Y'all not listening to me, though. Mello and the Knickerbockers. Hey, Willie. Renee Montgomery, got to get your thoughts on that. Derwin shaking his head. You don't like that?
I want to hear Derwin's thoughts on this. I always want to hear Derwin's thoughts.
Derwin, boy, contrarian, I tell you. I saw Kelly Wells back there shaking her head, too. Well, you want her to play in Houston with you, down there near you? Is that what it is?
Look. Just not. I think he needs to stay where he's at, personally.
Oh,
But we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
I can't knock that. That's actually the correct call on that. We'll talk about the Hornets and their new uniforms. We'll talk about that and get your thoughts on the Hornets' new swag. Jonathan Isaac, we'll talk about his prospects for the 2020-21 season. Josh Gordon, Super Bowl ring, made some money off of it. We'll talk about that in the auction. The Chiefs Super Bowl rings got theirs last night at Arrowhead Stadium. We'll talk about that. Big Ten football, president trying to weigh in on this, trying to tip the scales. Don't know if it worked. We'll talk about that. Animal Crossing in the news. We got to talk esports. We're going to get into that, making some political moves there. We'll talk about the NBA 2K League champs, Wizards District Gaming. They ran the district. We'll get into that. Compete Forever on Black News Channel this weekend. NBA 2K, me and this young lady right here in the, is that neon green hoodie? Is that highlighter yellow? What
It is. It's whatever you want to call it. I call it highlighter, but it's called Volt, I think, for Nike. Or
Yes,
yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, good deal. And we'll go and we'll end with Madden 21. We'll give away these codes and games tonight. We'll give away probably one or two. So stand by. Phone calls 877-853-5247. Meeting ID Esport Extra. 377-678-9872. Our first topic, Jazz and Nuggets game 7. Last night, it lived up to the billing. Low scoring. It was a rock fight a little bit, 80-78. Jamal Murray, after scoring 50. Your boy Spider, Donovan Mitchell, also scoring 50 a couple times in this series. Both held pretty much in check, 17 and 22 respectively there. Nikola Jokic was the star last night, 30 points. Hit that game-winning shot last night with about 27 seconds left. But, man, I tell you what, your boy from used to play at Memphis, Mike Conley Jr., I thought that thing was
Yeah.
down. Did you see Spider Mitchell had his hands in the air and it rimmed out? Renee Montgomery, the most exciting series. Well, we got another one actually going tonight with OKC and Houston,
Yeah.
but definitely one of the most exciting series. What were your thoughts on that final? And as I said, Nuggets in 7. So I'm going to pat myself on the back like Barry
I was
Horowitz.
about to say, we'll give you, because if it's on the tape, you called it. It's on the tape. I was gonna say, I love game 7s. I just want to throw that out, that I like game 7s. It's a feel, it's a thing. So a game 7, I want something in particular on that game, and they gave it to me. Like on game 7, I better see a buzzer beater. On game 7, I better see those heartbreakers. I better see these moments where you think it's halfway down and it's not. So my whole thought process on the game 7 is that it lived up to its hype. I like to see a lot of scoring. So it was a little low for my preference, but you know what? Everybody's actually playing defense on game 7. You better believe you should get everyone's best effort. So game 7 was a good game 7, as good as advertised.
Absolutely. What do they say, as we say in the broadcast industry, Durham World, the most exciting words in sports, right? Best 2 words in sports, game 7.
Game 7.
Your thoughts last night, particularly Jamal Murray struggling a little bit, only had 17, shot way less than 50% last night. What was he, 7 of 21? I believe 33%.
21 from the
Yeah.
field.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell's 9 of 22, a little bit better, but only 22.
Yeah.
Hey, scouting reports paid attention to last night,
Mhm.
right? We were calling for this,
Yes.
Willie. What is Quinn Snyder going to do? Can we do a trap or something? Get the ball out of dude's hand? D-Dub, your thoughts on the 2 stars, those 2 guards pretty much held in check last night. I guess they combined for 39.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really good game. And down the stretch, Rudy Gobert, I thought, put his team on his back and kind of carried them a little bit. He was in the paint, being aggressive, making shots. Both teams played extremely well. I was at the edge of my seat watching this game. But the one guy that I thought kind of vanished, and I think that when you're a team and you're trailing by that many points early on, it's very important to take the lead. And the Jazz took the lead back, and I thought they had an opportunity to kind of stretch it. And I felt like they got nothing from Mike Conley, in this game. He was 2 of 13 in this contest. And even when he put up the last second shot to try to win it, I had no confidence that ball was going in. Because
Did you see it?
I saw it.
Okay.
And
you
the
weren't nervous?
announcers, no, because he was off balance when he shot it.
Oh my God.
And then the announcer said it was that ball wasn't halfway down. It rolled around and it rolled out. I mean, it was a fitting end.
It had a chance, though. It did have a chance.
Renee,
it had a chance.
You played for
Hey,
it.
keep in mind, D, that Mike Conley with Horace, man, shooting off balance shots. That's part of his DNA.
Listen, it's game 7. Game 7. You can't come up. You can't come up 2 or 13. You can't.
That's fair.
That's fair. No, that's
there was
fair, for
times I thought there was 4 and 5 at times in that fourth quarter, because he did nothing that fourth quarter.
But for you to say that you didn't have heart palpitations last night, I mean, that's.
Oh, I didn't say that.
Yeah,
I was literally at the edge of my couch.
Yeah.
I was leaning, and when that shot went up, I basically fell on the carpet.
Yeah. That's what Donovan Mitchell did. Get in here, K-Dubs. Your thoughts on this very exciting series. How about the Nuggets? You got to give them credit. Rich, creamy nuggets, 10-piece nuggets, sauce, honey mustard, all that good stuff. Sweet and sour too. Honey teriyaki.
Oh my goodness.
Whatever you want to do.
Are you hungry?
I am hungry. I'm starving.
Are you hungry?
I am.
No,
Down 3-1
I loved the slugfest last night, because that's what it was. It came down to that game 7 slugfest. I loved the duel between Mitchell and Murray all night. I love watching passion in games, and from start to finish, it was just such a passionate game. So I was just very, very pleased. And like you said, game 7, I want to see all out. I want to see dive in, and I want to see a buzzer beater. And when that ball hit the rim, I was like, oh, and I was like, whoa.
Ah,
Like it was definitely like what you look for in sports. Like you want to see the exciting stuff. Like nobody wants boring game sevens. Nobody wants a blowout.
that's true. I want to
Wow.
see. I want to see Olympic hurdlers. I want to see them hitting that tape. I want to see them, going over those hurdles, just like we saw you in 2012. You're absolutely right. Hey, Willie, break it down for us, man. Your thoughts here on this series, man. And I think the better team probably is moving on. And if you're the Lakers, actually the Clippers, this is
Clippers.
going to be a tough matchup for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to your point, Larry, I thought Denver was going to win this series to start with.
We were the two wise men. The oak. Yes.
You
You
guys
know,
escaped.
yeah. What's interesting when you watch it is as closely contested as this series was, you wouldn't think that this was the 2 seed against a 6 seed or a 3 seed
Right.
against a 6 seed
Three
in the
six.
playoffs, right?
Yes. Mhm.
And they were separated by 2 games. It talks to how crazy the Western Conference is. So again, great series. It would have been hard. It would have been amazing if Jamal Murray would have been able to replicate the performance that he's been sort of carrying throughout the series. Because the other thing, not only is it taxing physically, but when you watched him mentally, all the things that he is carrying in terms of not only playing and doing the things for his team,
In the
but the
is that
things that
neon
he's
green,
standing
Willie?
up
Is
for
that
as
highlight?
well, to try and replicate that probably took a lot out of him.
Oh, it
And
did.
then, yeah, and then also too, yes, both teams made adjustments. And I think too, for two relatively young teams, I think there were some nerves as well for in a game 7 situation, right? Because at least for their stars are relatively young, haven't been in this situation before. So it was kind of on brand things that I thought, but it was great to watch.
Mhm.
Incredible theater. One of the things that D said that resonated with me is when we talked about this earlier. If you watch the games that Utah won, Rudy Gobert was the scorer. So they almost won again with Rudy Gobert being the scorer. And when we talked about this yesterday, I brought up Conley and also brought up Joe Ingles, and neither one of them played well yesterday. So
Nope.
it ultimately came down to that for Utah, and I do think the better team moved on.
Yeah, and you look at Spider. Look, he had some struggles. He carried the team as far as he could. Jamal Murray. We talked about how spent he was emotionally, physically, and emotionally, mentally as well. Drained after Game 6. Had the sneakers with Breonna Taylor's face on it. George Floyd as well. So good to see those guys moving on. Also, Spider Mitchell last night. Talked about this is nothing, and bringing in the social justice, which our good friend, our dear friend Renee Montgomery currently is working on with those causes and reform. So it was good to see. And look, we'll see these teams, two young teams sort of, battle it out and sort of, work their way up in the standings out in the Western Conference. Keep it out west. OKC, Houston tonight, Game 7, 9 p.m. Eastern time here. So here in about an hour and 45 minutes, hour and 40 minutes here. Your thoughts on this one? I always had Houston. I, I think they're going to win Game 7. Not totally convinced. I'm not 100% sure, but sort of money on the line right now. If I was in Vegas or Atlantic City or somewhere, I'm putting it all on James Harden and the Brody. They got to come through for me tonight. Who you got, A Willie, tonight, Game 7? Rockets
Well,
or Thunder?
I got to say this, and you guys knowing from what part of the country I'm from, it is hard for me to go against an all LA backcourt,
Oh
right?
boy, there
So
you
with
go.
that being
He
said,
would find a way.
I'm picking OKC, right?
Oh.
I think they're going to win.
You think so? Okay.
I do. I'm picking them. I'm picking
Mm,
Oklahoma City.
All right. Okay. Kelly Wells Brinkley, Houston, H Town, where you're living right now, home of Beyonce Knowles as well. All right. Are you part of the Beehive? Yes or no? Real quick.
I mean, she cool. Like I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm like a fanatic, but I enjoy Beyonce. So if that makes me a beehive, then maybe
Sure. Sure. All right. All right. Hornets Nest.
I'd
All
go
right.
to her concert.
Okay. I bet you would. I bet you would. Absolutely. Who you got tonight? OKC or H Town?
I'm gonna have to go H Town. I'm here. I've been praying that like Harden doesn't disappear as he does in big spotlight moments. So I've been sending him like heart chakra vibes and prayers and Jesus, like, come on. Because the city needs it. We always have such high hopes in the regular season for the team, and then the playoffs don't necessarily go as, us Houstonians would love it. So I'm putting my money on hometown tonight.
All right, we got the Rockets. We have liftoff so far with the Rockets, me and you, and we got A Willie being silly out there doing his own thing. We'll get the D Dubs. D Dubs, who you got, man? Game 7, man. OKC or HOU?
My head is telling me that Houston, they have the 2 stars. Russell Westbrook did not play his best game the last game.
No, he didn't play well at all. 7 turnovers. He stunk.
Yeah, he did. And, when you're a competitor like him or most great competitors, he probably didn't sleep. I know I wouldn't slept with a performance like that. And you're just itching to get back on that court and rectify it. And what better way in a game 7? So I expect him to play better tonight. I think Harden is just throughout these playoffs has played extremely well. And on the other side, you have Chris Paul. I like Chris Paul a lot. I'm more of a Chris Paul fan than the other 2 guys. And Chris Paul, he was quoted, if you saw the video, him coming back into the tunnel after the last game, he said, we got a chance. That's all we want is a chance. Anything can happen in a game 7. That being said, I'm going to go with Houston. I think Houston will pull this one out. But I wouldn't be unhappy if OKC won.
Well, if you're a Lakers fan, you're definitely rooting for OKC. You don't want that smoke with Houston. So we know what the Laker fans are. Let's bring in the 2-time WNBA champion. She's actually gotten game checks for dribbling balls, shooting layups, shooting jumpers, and all that good stuff. Renee, we saw 16-2 run to end the game for OKC in game 6. They were down, 98-88, won the game 104-100. Who you got, OKC, or we going to roll with the Rockets, man, and blast off?
No, I have Houston, and I have Houston for a lot of different reasons. I have Houston because James Harden, the things that he does, it doesn't matter who he plays against. You can't stop it. People get so mad because of how many fouls he gets called a game, how many free throws he shoots a game. The players he's playing against hate it, but there's seriously nothing you can do about it. Like, you can't stop James Harden from getting to the free throw line. That's a problem. It's game 7, so you don't have to worry about if he's going to be locked in. The problem that people had before was he shot him out of it. So I believe that a James Harden will still be able to function highly in a game 7 scenario. So I say that because if James Harden is being James Harden, it's going to be hard for someone to beat them like an OKC. Secondly, Russell Westbrook is going to put his head down, get to the basket, and get to the basket some more. And the reason that that's important is because he's going to do it so much that James Harden is going to be able to do his thing a little bit better. That's why they got rid of the big in the middle, so that there's that whole lane that they can get in and out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Clint Capella, and they got rid of him to clear out that lane. So game 7 is where if you are James Harden and you are Russell Westbrook, we got rid of Clint Capella for you. So they better show up and show why they went for this style.
I agree. And you got to go with the horses. You got to think that Russell Westbrook, I know yesterday we talked about this, A. Willie. There's some talk about a minutes restriction. Get out of here with that nonsense. He's going to play. The Brody's going to play. I think he's going to play well. Absolutely. Harden's going to get his 30 to 35. Robert Covington came over in that trade with Clint Capella. So we'll see, how he can provide some D. I like the Rockets tonight. We'll definitely see. He did.
Yeah, he played well.
Guy, Tennessee State University guy, a friend of the program.
TSU.
TSU. That T stands for Tennessee. That S, STATE, the U, University, TSU.
Okay. You better.
Wow.
So yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. That was our rival in the school as well. I went to Middle Tennessee, and there was TSU. So enough of that. You guys don't care about that. Seas and Raptors. I care about this. I told y'all. I told you, A. Willie. What did I tell you about the green team? I told you. I said, they're going to the conference finals, and I think they're going to make it to the NBA finals, and it's going to be Clips and Seas. And so far, I still look good. How good do my boys look right now? Jason Tatum did his thing. And how about Kemba Walker? That step back last night, that was like down the street right over here because I'm about 8 miles from Manhattan. Madison Square Garden, 34th and whatever, 6th or 7th Street, wherever it is over there. That's what he looks like, man. I mean, my boys look good, man. We got Jaylen Brown playing well. No Gordon Hayward. Got our guy on the bench. Brad Stevens doing his thing. And how about Marcus Wicked Smart, as they were saying? Marcus
exactly
Smart.
What they would say. That's
Marcus
exactly
Smart.
what they would say.
Not Marcus Smart. 5 threes in that game 2 last night.
3 minutes.
Should I feel good, A. Willie? I mean, you tell me. Should I feel good about my C's right now up 2-0 against the defending world champs?
Man, they are playing well. And one of the things that you like to see with Jason Tatum is when you're watching him and you're making that sort of jump and you're matriculating from being a really good player into a great player and you're being a really reliable scorer, it's going to the free throw line, right? So he averages in the year on for the season about 4.7, 4.8 free throws a game. Well, yesterday he shot 14,
Ooh.
right? So that's where you start really making that jump, where you really want to get into that upper echelon conversation of top 3 or 4 or 5 players in the world. And the other thing that he's doing also yesterday that I think he had six assists yesterday. So you already knew that he had this playmaking ability in him. He demonstrated some of that at Duke. It's one of the reasons why I liked him when we were in Phoenix, and the Celtics just were ahead of us, one spot ahead of us. So they were able to make that trade to get him. But so you see that going on. Of course, you see Marcus Smart. And Marcus Smart, in the second year of his deal, I can say this, when he signed that 4-year, $52 million deal, when people were looking at his stats, people were questioning him and saying, why did he get that much money? Well, he's living up to that. And you look at his year, not just now, but if you look at his year, he's career highs almost across the board. His last 10 is averaging like 18 points a game. So he's playing really well. He always had those intangibles, always was infectious in terms of his energy and all those different things that can guard up defensively. So when he gives you that scoring piece, and that's why they're able to do this thing seamlessly without Hayward, because he stepped into that role and he guards as well. So that's good for them. Robert Williams off the bench has been good for them in the first 2 games, right? So a guy from Texas A&M, ton of talent, but has really benefited from being around that group. And one of the things that we talked about, LL, we talk about a lot, is young guys getting playoff experience early, right? So in his second year, he's getting this experience. So another guy that is really helped them a lot. And then defensively, right? When you look at this series, the thing is defensively. So these 2 teams are top 5 in the league from a defensive standpoint. The Celtics have continued to be on brand. The Raptors, not so much, right? So that's really been what we're talking about here. Fred VanVleet is shooting 29% from the field, 22% from 3.
Where's
Kyle
Siakam?
Lowry is shooting 36% from the field, 8% from 3, right?
Yep.
And then when you look at the 3-point percentages from a team perspective, the Raptors were actually leading the league in the regular season in terms of holding teams down, opposing team 3-point percentage. The Celtics are shooting 43% from 3 in this series, and the Raptors are shooting 26. So that tells you everything you need to know. So I think if the Celtics continue to hold the Raptors down like this, which I don't know if they can, but if they continue to hold them down like this, there's no way that, so all the things that Jason Tatum's doing offensively and all those guys are doing offensively, the story of this series is defense.
Let's bring in D-Dubs. Mark Gasol, where are you? You got a height advantage. You have definitely an inside presence advantage with the Raptors. Siakam, where has he been? He was in foul trouble the first game. You can't give up 17, 18, 19 threes and expect to beat this team right here. How good should the Celtics feel right now up 2-0?
This should feel extremely good because just, what A. Willie was talking about, they're playing defense. It seems like, Toronto's really not. They're giving up over 40% from the field, and they're hitting threes at over 40%. And they're going to the free throw line. They're like made 40 out of 46 free throws in 2 games. So they're taking advantage of being able to go to the line, being aggressive, and they're hitting shots. Their young players are a world of confidence right now, playing extremely well against defending champs. If Toronto wants to repeat, they're going to have to step up their game defensively, first off, and try to slow Tatum down and some of the other guys down and play some defense. But they can't continue to allow the C's to shoot over 40% from the field and get to the free throw line and convert free throws.
We were talking about that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Renee. I want to bring you in here. The gamesmanship with Nick Nurse. He's already bitching and moaning, complaining, trying to get the refs' attention already. Like, he shot more free throws than my entire team, and just talking about Jason Tatum going to the charity stripe. Will that work?
I don't know. I just and I hear all of the stats and I hear all the different things, but does anybody care that these are the reigning champs? Like does a lot of times, I say that and I don't say it lightly. To be a champion, it takes a certain thing inside of you. So it's hard for me to bet against them. Like I'm rolling with Toronto. they're not shooting well, and that's what also makes me like roll with them, because we all know basketball is a game of runs, spurts. So if somebody's hot, you already, even if it's me and I'm a shooter, I think every shot's going in. You know that if I'm on a burner, that at a certain point, it's the law of
Love
averages.
averages.
Numbers average out. So I don't expect anybody to be shooting 8%. I don't expect it to stay there. I expect things to rise. So I'm rolling with Toronto. I like, and Kimba's my guy, UConn and all
I was
that.
about to
But
say, how you gonna do that to a fellow
I
Husky?
just, yeah, I don't usually pick off of like who I like, because I got a lot of friends. Cal's my guy too. You know what I mean? I got a lot of friends in the NBA, so I don't. But I just looking at it, I'm not going against the champs.
I hope you're wrong, Renee. I love you, but I hope you're dead wrong.
Renee, I
Uh,
hope you're right, because I do not want to see no C's in the finals winning no.
Yeah,
Can't
I don't have
stand
a
the
dog in the
C's.
fight. I say it all the time. I don't really care who wins, because I got
right.
friends usually on either team.
On every
I just, yeah, I just pick who I think's gonna win.
so Renee, you got bros in different area codes, basically, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, I got all the bros and all the area codes. So I don't really. That's why I'm like, I don't really have a. That's why I said you got to go through LA. I think on the West, but on the
Yeah.
East, I said Toronto. I think I'm sticking with Toronto.
Okay, Kelly, who you got? My C's up 2-0. Should I be a little concerned? Am I celebrating a little too prematurely?
No, I'm a Celtics fan as well. I love a scrappy team. And from the dawn of time, they are scrappy. Like my name when I was running was Little Scrappy because I'm, one of the shortest girls out there. But I think that you can't beat Hart. And like they've always been a hardy team. So I'm going to have to go with the C's. And, just watching Marcus Smart go off last night, like 5 threes in 3 minutes,
Yeah.
that's the eye of the tiger. And I think that, that becomes very, very hard to beat.
Yes, I agree. I don't think they'll sweep or anything.
Yeah.
I think it's going to go six. I think the Celtics are going to win, but they're up 2-0, and I think it definitely bodes well for the green team. Keep it in the NBA and the association. Carmelo Anthony played very well. We saw him with the Portland Trailblazers. You got all these iterations, these different iterations. You got Hoodie Mello, you got Olympic Mello. We saw Skinny Mello, and then we got Bubble Mello. I like them all. But there's some talk that the Knicks are interested. Of course, played here last time the Knicks went to the playoffs. He was actually here. So it's been a while since they were here. Had Mike Woodson, and was that 2013, 14, somewhere around there when they won 50 plus games. Leon Rose, the new GM of the Knickerbockers, was his agent. So if he doesn't go to Portland, maybe does end up with the Knicks. How much are you buying this story? Mello and a Knickerbocker reunion. We'll start with you, Renee Montgomery, since you will know all the NBA stars.
It's interesting. I buy anything. Like anybody could go anywhere at any time. I like that's players meet up, they have vacations together, they have aspirations of playing together, and then they go do it. So if I start to hear that Carmelo's going to New York, I'm like, who else going over there? Like that's my first thought. Like, who else is New York talking to? Because that makes me think that they are talking to more people, because usually that's how it happens. You get the younger players or the talented players by bringing somebody like a Carmelo in and being like, look, we're going to be stabilized with a Carmelo. Y'all seen Bubble Mello, he's playing well. So my whole thought is I always believe it. Players can leave at any time. You see it now. And I'm curious who else. That's my thought process about that whole situation.
Good thought. I don't know about any veterans. They're going to have some money finally. The Knickerbockers
They got
finally
money.
had some bad draft lottery sort of luck there with the eighth pick, but there's some talk they've got some extra picks because of the Porzingis trade with Mavericks a year or two ago. Maybe they can move up and get maybe Mellow Ball, LaMelo Ball. We'll see. Your thoughts on this,
Oh my
Kelly?
goodness.
Would you like? Hey, we can only dream right now. They're not getting Kevin Durant. They blew that one. So I don't know who else they could try to get. Maybe Giannis in another year. We'll see. Your thoughts? You like Melo coming back to the Garden?
So Mellow at the Garden is a nostalgic thought for me. It brings back, younger days, and he looks good in the uniform, and that's where his family's there. It's like a thing. But I don't want him to go back there. I think that he should stay put. I think he's found an organization and a scheme that kind of works for him. But I do agree with Renee that players are never held anywhere. You see players. I mean, teams trade players just like that, and players trade themselves just like that. So I
Right.
think I think that he should stay where he is because it looked good on him mentally. Because I know what it's like to look at an athlete and look at him in the eyes and see that drained feeling from not living up to certain potentials and certain standards that you may hold for yourself. But I think that he should stay put because it looks good to me. It feels good to my heart too.
I We'll see, but definitely did look good in the orange and blue. Love the Knickerbockers jersey on 'em. All right, D Dubs, you from this area? You live in Brooklyn. Your thoughts? Will Melo come back here to MSG?
He don't need to go back to New York.
There you
He
go.
don't- as soon as I heard this story, it's like, don't do it. Don't do it.
Why,
Because
man?
because
Why?
the Knicks are not, both our young ladies made very good points. And then Renee lost me a little bit when she said stable, because the Knicks ain't stable. Ain't nothing stable
No,
about the Knicks.
Carmelo Anthony is stable. A lot of
Yeah.
people were confused about him, and when he wasn't playing, like, what will he
Mhm.
look like? We know what he looks like now. So
Yeah.
that's done.
You know what
But
it is?
that's but
Derwin
that's
still, he's got the trauma from ISO Melo and stuff like that's what
yeah.
that is.
And Renee makes some good points. And one thing she did say, who else could be coming? And I didn't think of that, which is a good point. But if Kamau comes back here, he's going to be looked upon as the guy again. He's better in Portland to me because he has other dogs out there.
Yeah.
He has Damian Lillard,
Yeah.
who's a star. He doesn't have to be the guy there. He can stay in Portland, which is not New York City. So it's a different media market. He can be a little bit more laid back.
Although
come off the bench.
he did sort of thrive in this market. He fed off that. He enjoyed
Yeah,
that.
but he's going to be looked upon as the guy, and so much is going to be expected of him.
Okay.
The Knicks are not a winner right now. They're not a contender. Let's be real. Why would you come here
But
to
we've
deal with the New York
we've seen
scrutiny?
before.
For what?
I was in Boston. We saw 3 guys that changed them overnight. So you bring him, and like Renee said, a couple of guys, and maybe things change. I don't know. We'll see. They do need a small forward. They don't have any forwards, especially any forwards that can shoot. So there's a need there.
They need a lot. Let's
yeah,
be
They
clear,
haven't had
but
a small forward since
then-
Bernard
but
King.
sometimes,
Right,
but
and then-
sometimes
Well,
you
They
Melo
haven't
was
had
small.
one since Bernard King.
Melo.
sometimes I'm thinking the question asked to me was, do I believe it? And
Yeah.
yeah, I believe. So I answered his question. I believe any
Mhm.
story. Do I think he should leave? I think players always want to stay where they're wanted or be where they're wanted. And if Portland wants him back, that should be the question we're asking. Like because I think if Portland wants him back and gives him a contract that shows they want him back, I think he's going to go back to Portland, but we can't be like, stay in Portland and Portland don't give him a contract. So that's why I'm saying I believe all stories, because we got to see what is Portland offering Carmelo, because if they're not offering him basically nothing, and then here comes New York with a guaranteed contract and things that an older player might be happy about, then he might be a Knickerbocker. That's why I'm like, I believe everything. I don't know. I just
And that
Hey,
sounds
hey-
like New York. They'll do something crazy.
Right.
yeah.
Hey, Willie, how much do
Exactly.
we play up the connections with Leon Rose? We saw CJ McCollum say, look, I don't make the decisions here. I'm not the boss. We'd love to have him back. He fits in our culture. I don't know if Portland's going to give him the contract that he's looking for. I could see the Knicks saying, "Hey, here's 2 years and 30 million. Give him 15 million a year." And he's like, "Shoot, I'll take that."
exactly.
Yeah, we're seeing this trend. The trend that we're seeing in the NBA is former agents becoming GMs. So, you're seeing this around the league, and that doesn't necessarily mean because someone was represented a player that, okay, now we're going to get that player. Case in point, Rob Pelinka represented James Harden. The Lakers aren't trying to acquire James Harden, right? So with that being said, that agent-player connection is something that we're starting to see all around the NBA. Bob Myers was the same way. So I don't really put a lot of stock into that. Does he have a personal relationship with Melo? Sure he does. But at the same time, I don't think because of that agent connection, that's the reason why. Now, we talked about this earlier when Tibbs first got the job. And one of the things, to Renee's point, to Dee's point, one of the things I said when Tibbs first got the job is Tibbs is going to have to change as a coach because he's not wired. If you look at his history, he's not wired to coach young players.
No.
So what does that mean?
He's a
Are
grinder.
did he either change or are they looking to acquire other players? Right. So that's what we talked about when Tibbs first joined. So for me, to Renee's point, to Dee's point, to everybody's point, if he were to go back there or go back there, that's sort of on brand with Tibbs wanting to coach veterans, established players, right? So I could see that if that were indeed the case. But for Melo, though, I certainly wouldn't want to see him go. He has, let me say it like this. he has too much game to be in a straight mentorship role where I'm just sitting at the end of the bench and I'm just mentoring people, right? This dude can still get it done. So with that being said, if they're going with the youth movement,
Sure,
right, I wouldn't want him to just be in a mentor role, right? And then I'll say this too as well. Shout out to Melo too, because when he was in New York, how much he had to carry when he was there. I think if there was a way that you
he embraced it too. He embraced once his
no doubt, Raptors, no doubt. So shout out to him. And so if there's a way that people sort of undervalue Melo, it's his skill level. And when he got to Portland, he demonstrated that skill level. That's why he's still effective. So, so for me, man, I'm a big Melo guy. I'm happy to see it. If he were to go to New York or go to any other locale, I want him to be in a situation where he's competing for championships and not just at the end of the bench trying to get a check and mentoring guys, because he's too good for that.
Yeah, and that's the key. Will he be on a contending team next year? That's the key. Nick's got a little money, and there's a little nostalgia here. Kelly brought it up. Lala still, lives here and stuff like that. I mean, and plus it's New York City, man. I mean, come on. I mean,
championship, or do you want the money? You got to choose.
Well,
it's at the end of his career.
What if you can get both?
Well,
he ain't
with the Knicks,
right?
He's not getting it with the Knicks.
It depends on what they do.
Coach, get real quick. Go.
You talking about Lala? So also you got to know that Tommy doesn't live in New York anymore. So.
Oh, you know what? With the
goodness. I was wondering who was gonna do it.
I remember being in Boston and him and KG with the Cheerio comment. So
oh man,
that's the I go back to those days. That was spicy. Oh, ooh, that was good. That was good stuff back then.
I'm doing Chris
Webber.
Moving right along.
Let's move right along. Real quickly around the bend. Real quick, Charlotte Hornets, new uniforms. Going back a little bit, double pinstripe. I like it. A little teal. It's clean. I like it. We go around the horn real quick for about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
We'll start with you, Derwin. You like it? I like it.
I like the pinstripes. I like the white unis. And I saw videos of
the double pinstripe. That's the deal.
Yeah, Larry Johnson, Grandmama. So it's nostalgic. It's a nice look. I like it.
A little old back to yesteryear with the Hornets back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Muggsy Bogues,
Alonzo Mourning. Absolutely. Yep. Kelly, what are your thoughts? Charlotte Hornets, you digging it? The new unis?
I loved it. They're clean. It's concise. Takes me back to, feel good days. So I give it 2 thumbs up.
Feel good days. I mean, they haven't really won anything, but
feel good days
for you personally. Back in those
personally,
days.
Like
they were popping back then.
What were you doing in the 90s, Kelly? How old are you? Like 25?
Sweetheart, I am 38 years old. I am 38 years old.
Okay,
yes.
You can speak on the 90s.
Well,
Renee can't speak on the 90s. She ain't old enough.
Wait a minute. I'm turning 30. I'm turning 34 this year. I think I can have a little dabble with the 90s.
I thought you were 32.
Listen, what is he coming for us for? We can speak on the 90s. So since we're allowed to speak,
if you were
the
born in the
90s,
80s,
we've
you
been
can.
granted permission.
I'm an 80s baby. Why does everybody make me younger than I am? I am a grown 80s baby here.
I'm a grown one.
I can do whatever I want. Oh no, but I'm a big fan of throwback city edition. I like when teams switch it up. So typically, unless it's like a complete disaster or it's brown, I don't really like brown uniforms. But unless it's one of those two, I'm gonna like it. I'm gonna enjoy it because I like the switch up. I wish the WNBA actually did more of that. Like, I wish we had throwbacks. I wish we had city editions where they drew from different things. So as a player, I would have enjoyed that. And so I love seeing it on other players.
Good stuff. I agree. They are clean. What are your thoughts? Charlotte Hornets?
Yeah, as a guy that's had some experience in sports marketing, that uniform really resonated with me because it goes back to a time when they were really popping, as we've been discussing. And then the other thing as well, right? If you want your things to really be sort of part of pop culture, what do you need to happen? You need young people to wear your stuff, right?
Mhm.
So you have young people now, they're rocking things that sometimes we say, man, you don't even know what you're rocking,
Yeah.
right? So these uniforms kind of tie right in to that time, and they'll think that they're cool because they really closely resemble when Larry Johnson and Alonzo Mourning and Kendall Gill, et cetera, Dale Curry,
Dale
et cetera,
Curry.
were playing.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Yeah, good stuff. I agree. Queen City, man, and gotta love the Jordan logo on there. I think they're clean.
Oh
I like
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
that's
Sweet.
definitely that
But
definitely makes it elite.
I know I was
Yep.
about to say real there. Keep it in the NBA. Jonathan Isaac, remember we saw him at the bubble, tore his ACL, and I also believe his meniscus. Second time he injured his knee. Remember, he injured it back on New Year's Day. Actually, they initially ruled him out 8 to 10 weeks. Then they said, "All right, just shut down the season once." Everything was going on, but of course, the pandemic letting him sit out another 4 to 5 months. He came back, tore that ACL. I believe it was the second seeding game. I believe it was against Sacramento, if I'm not mistaken. There, he's going to miss the entire 2020-21 season. Want to go around here and get you guys' thoughts? Is that the right call? I absolutely believe it. Two knee injuries
Yeah.
like that in 6-7 months like that. Yeah, let him sit out the entire season next year because it's going to be truncated anyway from December all the way through like May or June.
Right. And I mean, and that rehab for a torn ACL which is
Hmm.
brutal. He has to rehab it again. It's at least 9 to 10 months
9 months. Yep.
yeah, that's gonna put him right into May. And if they get back on schedule, the finals is normally in June. So this is a no-brainer. It doesn't make sense to even have him try to rush back for what? So I'm not surprised by this ruling at all that he's just going to sit it out because he needs to take at least a year off, get that knee strong again, and then come back. He's a young kid. You don't want to push him too hard and then have another knee injury.
Yeah, yeah. Kelly, we'll get your thoughts on this. Jonathan Isaac, real quickly. You think it's the correct call to go ahead and just say push the 2020-21 season?
Absolutely. He's going to need so much time to rehab to strengthen that side up. But then also, he has to be careful of injuring the other side because when one side goes, you're putting so much more emphasis on the other side, just walking, hobbling, whatever that may be. So he needs to strengthen his body, work on the things, see great doctors to look at the small things that are wrong to make sure that, you don't have another one of these down the road because you don't want to have a knee replacement in like 5 years. Like,
True.
who wants that?
Spoken like a lady that's seen and been there and done that and knows everything about leg injuries. Are you speaking from experience?
Oh, yeah, had a couple.
Yeah.
It sounded like it. I was like, yeah, she knows what she's talking
Yeah,
about.
absolutely.
Gotta
Hey
be really
Willie,
careful.
that's a good point. Hey Willie, right call here.
Yes, I think it's the right call. The GM for the Magic said that this knee
Jeff
injury is
Weltman
not
is his name. Yeah,
Jeff
Magic.
Weltman. Yeah, and Jeff does a really good job. Jeff said that this injury was not related to the previous injury, and that's who knows. But one of the things I like to say when we talk about athletes, and we all have some experience with that, is how to help a hero, right? So sometimes we don't know when we need help. So we have to be saved from ourselves. So instead of pushing, and especially a guy like Jonathan Isaac, who is so strong in his faith, that's the thing that he's going to lean on during these times right now. And so when you lean on that faith as heavily as he's going to lean on it, you know what he may be able to do? He may be able to rush the process to come back. So with that being said, you want to save him from himself and say, you know what, J.I., we're good, man. Let's go ahead and especially from a contractual standpoint, you don't want him to sustain another injury and it really impacts when his deal expires and he starts to move into free agency.
Absolutely. Renee Montgomery, you've been in the W. You know a lot about these pro athletes in the NBA as well. Do you like them? Just go ahead and just saying, dude, sit down. We're not even going to play any games. Take the rest of the year off. Sounds like Kevin
Yeah,
Durant to me.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And even, you know, there were people getting bubble insurance. There were players getting bubble insurance. It was a thing we talked about. We had never heard this term before.
Those young
I
stars
hope
like
he was
Jason Tatum and those guys. You're right.
I hope he was one of them. In a season where he was coming off of an injury, I would hope that his team around him, that's something that his team should have put into his world that, hey, there's superstars getting bubble insurance. Maybe you coming off of an injury, maybe you should. And the reason I say that, he's still going to get his money and everything, but people need to be looking out for him as A-Dubs talked about. There needs to be a system around him that not only tells him, yes, you're sitting out next season, but they also tell him about things that he should be doing that off season. Like, to Kelly's point, I think that when you have a young player like this and they have 2 quick injuries, that's when your team is so important. And he's a guy of faith, which is great. But I always just I get weary of players trying to always like A-Dub said, do too much. Like, that's going to be your natural tendency is going to be how quick can I get back? Like that's just everybody wants to get back to the court. So I always like his team. I always just look at the teams. And so my main thing right now is I hope he has a good team around him so that they don't let him save him from himself, as A-Dub said.
Yeah, good stuff there. You're absolutely right. Good call on him. And here's a young man that we talked about him. Sort of an ordained minister now, doing a lot with his faith, and he leans on that faith. And he did tweet out about the old famous saying, it's a setback, but he'll be back.
Minor setback for a major comeback.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So he'll be back, and we're definitely rooting for him. And I know the Magic could definitely use him because he's starting to blossom, averaging around 12, 13 points a game. Here's a guy that's 6'11", makes that team athletic and big at the same time. So I definitely think the Magic could use him. Go from the NBA to the NFL real quickly. Kansas City Chiefs unveiled their Super Bowl rings last night. Super Bowl 54. Pretty big, 230 diamonds. I don't want to, I don't want to poo-poo it, but I love it. It's a good-looking ring, and also Pat Mahomes proposing to his high school sweetheart, college girlfriend last night as well. Ring season. Renee knows about the ring season there. So, your thoughts here on the ring? You look at Super Bowl 53. I remember Patriots, man, 283 carats in that joint. That thing was like 2 inches sitting off the ground. Your thoughts here? How sweet? Because we're not going to knock the ring. How nice is this compared to other rings that we've seen in recent years with the Chiefs? We'll start with you, Kelly. What do you think about Mahomes and the Cheetah and those guys as we show pictures of these rings?
Yeah. I think the ring is nice, but to me, I feel like once the ring is a certain size, they all start to look the same. Like it's just big, it's huge, and I can see it from across the room. I know you won a Super Bowl with some team. So I'm not gonna come and like be like, "Ooh, the Patriots ring is bigger. Let me count those diamonds." Like I'm like, I mean, it looks nice to me. I mean, every girl likes diamonds. They sparkle, so they're cool.
Girls like. We'll go with our next lady here. We're gonna go ladies first since we're talking about diamonds.
Yeah,
You guys have
I like diamonds too.
hey, green for the money, gold for the honeys. Absolutely.
Listen,
Renee, your thoughts here?
listen. I think I wanna. The ring was great. Like they have more rings than mine. I mean, more diamonds than mine. But I think aesthetically, the ring looked great. The 2 Super Bowl uh tributes on there. But I
50
think
years apart, yeah.
yeah, 50 years apart. But what I think is really special is Patrick Mahomes is having the best year ever. Like ever. This guy is like everyone else, 2020, they'll circle that year and slash it out. And not Patrick. He
Hmm.
not only just got himself a ring, himself a 500 million contract, ownership of a baseball team.
Royals.
His best friend is also a celebrity. So him and his bestie, Travis Kelsey, are traveling around the world, living their best
Yeah.
life. And now he's getting engaged. Patrick, like, wow, he's having a great year. So yeah, the rings were great, but like the Kansas City guys, they're killing it right now. So that's what I just take from all that. And they were socially distanced at their ceremony.
Yes, they
I
were.
thought that was well done by
Right.
the Chiefs.
Absolutely. Hey, Willie, your thoughts? The Super Bowl 54 ring, Chiefs, man. Gaudy, which it should be.
Yeah. And it was creative in terms of, yes, the social distancing. And also too, it was creative because if you're going to normally when you get those rings, you get them in front of a packed house, a bunch of
Sure.
fans, and
Well,
now
sometimes it's the private part. I know the Patriots
dinner,
do
yeah.
theirs. They do it they did it at Kraft's house.
we got ours in front of the fans. It was amazing.
Well, that's
When I was
that's the public. Yeah, that's the public one. Usually for
we got
basketball.
ours in front of the fans when I was with the Red Sox. It's nothing like it. It is
Yeah.
absolutely nothing like it. So for them to put this on and do this in these times, I
You
think
got to
was pretty
flex next
good.
time. Where is yours, dude? Flex next time.
Man,
Look. He said say less. He said, what
He
you talking about?
reaching. He
What are you
reaching.
talking about?
What you got?
Wee.
so it's a great feeling.
Hold on,
It's
where
nothing
my
like
ring
it.
at?
Go
Okay,
get it.
because
Yeah. Go get it.
Go get that ring.
Sam.
Go get it.
Yeah, I want to see Renee's.
Yeah. Go
Kelly,
get
Kelly,
it. Deep.
Kelly, bring out the
Bring-
medal. Bring out the medal.
Yeah,
On
bring
the
Yeah.
way. It's on the way.
On the way.
It's on the way. Because I
Both of them on the way?
Give me my ring.
Yeah.
Larry, where the Emmy at? Where the Emmy at?
Yeah, bring it out.
I
Let's
ain't got it.
flex.
I ain't
Bring
got
it to me. Yeah, look, we got a presenter that'll present the ring. You know what I'm saying? We got
Hey.
cases and stuff. You know what I'm
That's what I'm
saying?
talking
Let
about.
me see so they can see. Tilt it a little bit so they can see. Okay.
Hey.
Oh,
We
man.
got
I'm
rings and things. Ours is a little gaudy. If we talking about gaudy, we went the gaudy route, but you
That's
know,
beautiful.
oh yeah, I
Hey.
wish you guys could see it better. Let me see if the closer you get, if it'll help it. No, you're not gonna. I'll have to set up pictures.
Hey, you got the
Coach K
look
is
on there, right?
extra.
Woo, woo, woo.
You know what I'm
That
saying?
is
We got some
beautiful.
rings and tings around here. Thank you to the model. This is like, what is it called? Deal or no deal. Thank you,
Yeah.
Serena.
Yeah.
You.
Serena Grace, what's up?
There we go.
Oh,
Hey.
look at her.
Yes.
The
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Listen,
y'all
that's a
flexing?
different flex. That's a
Let's
different
go.
I
flex.
got a couple of rings of my own.
Ooh,
Let's go.
listen,
Well,
in
hold on.
case you were
Go.
wondering why you're watching and listening to what we have to say, okay?
I got a ring. I
Yes.
got a ring too. Look.
You
Oh, I got that one too.
Yeah.
I got that one too. Yeah.
Y'all are wilding. Y'all are bullshit tonight. Kelly, why you got to go do that? Why you got to do that, Kelly?
listen, I love it, Kelly. You should just walk around with that. Like that's a different flex. There's a lot of people with rings. There's not a lot of people with medals. So that's a
Right.
different flex. That's
When
a
I
level
first,
up.
when I first got it, like it felt like a dream. So I slept with it like on my
Yes,
pillow
ma'am.
when I was in the
Wow.
village, so I could wake up and be like, "Oh yeah, that happened. That
So
happened."
Did you bite it? Did you bite it?
it's still there.
Make sure it's real. You bit it? Did you bite it?
No, I know it's real. It's hella heavy. It is
Yeah, okay.
heavy.
No, no flex, man. The Emmy, I never
Oh.
picked it up because I won it like what 2005. So this was like 15 years ago. I never picked it up. I need to order it though. I do have an Emmy, but this is the prized possession.
You got your Emmy still
Yeah.
on layaway? No,
I
sir.
never
Like,
picked it up.
this-
I didn't. I
Go
didn't
get
Like,
your Emmy, bro. What?
I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it.
Like if I had
yeah.
an Emmy, you wouldn't be like. I'd be like, "Oh, you mean my
All right.
Emmy?"
My Emmy.
Yeah.
Let's start the GoFundMe.
We gotta
Right,
get Larry Laptop's Emmy off the layaway. Okay, it was way before he started making this bread. We gotta get it off of layaway. Okay, I can't.
Don't tell everybody that. Don't do that.
Oh my God.
We see you. We see
My
you.
bad.
But no Emmy up there. But this is the me and Chadwick Boseman and Roy Jones Jr. got the Walmart history teaching history thing. So
Now
God bless
that's-
it. So from Chadwick Boseman, yeah. So
Yeah.
That's
panel with
that's
them.
Rest
very,
in
that's a
peace,
winner.
our
too.
guy.
That's a
The
winner.
only flex I got. But you ladies with the ring, and you sir with the ring, and you ma'am with that medal, I'm jealous tonight. I am.
Just happy to be here.
Congratulations,
Right,
man.
there
Clap
we
it
go.
up. Clap it up. for these
There it is.
beautiful people doing
We
beautiful.
didn't plan that, by the way, people. If they think we're one of those shows, we're not.
We're not. No.
Off the
Real
cuff.
quickly,
Tell
we
them
got to
straight.
get out of here. We got like 15, 20 minutes. Let's hurry up and get through. We got about 4 or 5 more topics. Josh Gordon played with the Patriots 2018. Played 12 of the games. I believe he was suspended the last 4. Got the ring, Super Bowl 53 from the Patriots. Auctioned off $138,000. Your thoughts on this, Josh Gordon? What does it say that first of all, the ring is actually being auctioned off? Does he need the money? What's going on here? Derwin?
I don't know, man. He obviously didn't value.
I couldn't get to the bottom. I couldn't get to the bottom of it either.
Maybe he needs the money. I read a post that says maybe he's looking to buy some. I don't know, but
Oh my goodness.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Oh my
but,
goodness.
Icky.
but
He's buying stock in CBD if that's what it is. Then.
I don't know, but I mean, I wouldn't give up my ring. Maybe some people feel like he didn't play in the game, so he was a part of it. So he doesn't feel a part of that, so it doesn't mean anything to him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. Hopefully, he doesn't need the money, but I find it kind of sad. But he obviously didn't care about that ring.
Real quickly, go ahead. Kelly, your thoughts, Josh Gordon, Super Bowl ring. And we just showed pictures of that Super Bowl 53 ring with the Patriots and the Chiefs. We'll go with you, A. Willie, on that. Your thoughts on that?
Well, when you look back to when he was released, there was a little bit of a discrepancy there because he thought he could have came back and played. And they were saying, not so much. So there was some playing around with semantics and things of that nature so they could release him. And you saw Julian Edelman, you saw, I think it was Philip Dorsett as well. Both of them say when he was released, man, I was shocked that he was released. So with that being said, with him saying he could come back, them saying, no, you can't. And then when you get healthy, you get released. That shows that there's some beef there was some funk going on, and the foe was getting ready to jump off between Josh Gordon and the New England Patriots. So for him to do this, and I'm not pocket hustling, I'm not counting his money. I don't know if he needs it or not. I don't pocket hustle. But I'm going to say this, for when you have those types of feelings, it's easy to be like, you know what, I'm good.
Sure. Kelly, your thoughts here on Josh Gordon and the Super Bowl ring. We showed the difference. First of all, you see how big and gaudy that Patriots.
Yeah.
I told you that is Godzilla of Super Bowl rings right there. That thing is huge.
Well, I was still wrapped up into like why this was happening. But then I looked and I saw that it was like the third highest item that was auctioned off. There was a rookie card for Babe Ruth, maybe, and I was like,
Babe Ruth.
who are these people? And
Stop
when can I
buying
get
this
some of this
stuff.
money? Who are these? Where are they at?
Right.
But but now listening to this and thinking about it, like, there's no emotional connection because I couldn't imagine like my Olympic medal, like auctioning it off ever because of my emotional connection to it.
Yeah.
Sure.
But if you don't have that connection, then maybe he's just like, well, let me see
Right.
this money.
Renee, $138,000 is that the going rate for a big old gaudy 283 carat ring that sits about 2 or 3 inches off the ground? That thing is literally like 3 inches off the ground. That thing is literally like that thick, ladies and gentlemen. No lie. It's literally that big.
And you know what's actually important about that ring is the Patriots. You know, like you got to remember like the fan base there, so that he doesn't have that connection to the ring. So it's not like the reason that I am like, oh, look at my ring. It's not because it has all these diamonds in it. It's not because of everything around the ring. It's everything I know I did to get that ring. So if he doesn't have that connection of the everything I did to get that ring, well, then if I sell it, then it's a bonus, whatever I get. If somebody buys it for 100,000, I'm like, that's the easiest 100,000 I ever made. Like, just because as an athlete, your achievements, that's why like they say play for pride. Like when we win the championship, it's not for everybody to be like, oh, look how cool our ring is. It's like, nah, we won that championship and this is who we beat. And this, so for him, if he doesn't have that, like, nah, this is when I had to take that charge, it messed up my mouth and this ring, and he don't have no connection. That's just free money to him.
Good point. And you think about all of the suspensions that he's had, really never made it to free agency, never really made any big money because of everything that he's been through for the last 5, 6, 7 years. $138,000. I mean, I can buy some groceries with that. Absolutely.
But
Walmart and go to town with that.
But two things. One thing A. Willie said that I'm thinking is probably the case is that he had some bitter feelings towards the Patriots.
Yeah.
Because if that was me and I didn't play in the game and they didn't have to give me a ring and they went out of their way to get me one, I would feel like, damn, they did this. They got me a ring. I would have kept it. That's just how I would have felt about it. But I guess his feelings changed after that.
Well, I do know this. They did sort of give him the correct support system, reportedly, and things of that nature. Something happened at the end. I know there was some talk that he may have missed some meetings, and there were some people looking after him and things of that nature. Look, he's got a troubled past. I mean, this guy, God bless his soul.
And people sell their stuff all the time, actually. Like I get surprised all the time when people sell their stuff because like my parents will be mad. Like, why do you give it to us? Like, like that to me, even if it's like the littlest trophy, somebody in my family would want it, but I get surprised all the time. Athletes do this quite often. Like I get surprised. Like they give away their jerseys from who was it just now? Michael Strahan or someone that there's a discrepancy of the jerseys or something. And I'm like, who's giving away these Super Bowl jerseys for no reason? It blows my mind.
Well, Tom Brady had one too. His Super Bowl 49 jersey was stolen.
That's the one I'm talking about. Yeah, it was stolen. Then I'm like,
well, they caught the guy. The guy went in right before they went.
Actually, no, that's not what I'm talking about. No. I'm talking about an actual. I believe it's somebody famous. I forget who. I'm pretty sure it's Michael Strahan. And there's somebody selling his jersey. And then he also said, "Wait, no, I have the jersey right here. It's not the real one."
How do you
Yeah.
authenticate it? You know what I'm saying? The authentic.
Picture. I found this out for working at TMZ. They
Yeah,
have picture
authentic.
authentication where they can tell, like, if he's fell on the ground here, he's wearing it in the game, there should be a mark here, a mark there. I asked, is that the only way? And it really is. And I think that that seems very archaic, but
Yeah.
it's just like, why are people giving away their stuff? It's so weird. I'm keeping everything from a championship, period. The socks, the shoes, the jersey,
Mhm.
Everything, yes,
everything.
Right.
like
Right.
everything.
Right. Well,
Mhm.
typically when they sell stuff like this, there is some sort of,
Charity.
signage or something that, authenticated, right? Yeah, so there's some sort of, badge of authenticity on it. So I don't know, but that's a good point there. Real quickly, Big Ten football. It was going back and forth. They were talking about maybe coming back as soon as next month, maybe Thanksgiving. The president weighed in. Trump spoke with Kevin Warren, the new Big East, not Big Ten, Big East, but Big Ten commissioner. But now they're saying late last night just doesn't look like it's going to happen. Real quickly, we'll go around. Will the Big Ten play in this calendar year before the end of the year in 2020, or will it be in the spring? During your thoughts, real quickly.
Well, basically, for them to play, it's going to be they have to SIDs, athletic directors have to come up with a plan, give it to the presidents. It's going to be up to the presidents and the chancellors to agree to play. I personally don't think this is a good look because you have Kevin Warren, a brand new commissioner. What does it say? How does that make him feel when they've already come out and said we're not playing? And now you're hearing parents are upset, everybody's upset. There's no one's. You're supposed to come to this agreement together as a unit, as a family, as a conference.
Right.
And now it just seems there's a lot of back channeling going on. I just don't like it at all.
Hey, Willie, your thoughts with the president trying to tip the scales a little bit and the political winds, trailing in some of those battleground states, Midwest states are pivotal for him, right?
Yeah, no question. No, when you look at it, and so you look in Big Ten country, 20 electoral votes in Illinois, 18 electoral votes
Well, he
in
ain't
Ohio,
winning Illinois, but
right?
Ohio,
18
Ohio.
in Pennsylvania, so 10 in,
Pennsylvania.
10 in Michigan, right? So
Minnesota,
Minnesota.
right, 29 in New York, where Rutgers
he
is.
ain't
So
winning New York.
He ain't getting New York. Stop.
it's
Get out here.
it's not about whether he gets
I'll
it.
go vote 3 million times. He ain't winning New York.
It's not about whether he wins it or not. It's about him trying to make a presence in those states that have a ton of electoral votes.
Sure.
That's what it's about,
Right.
right? So Indiana also has a number of them as well. I think 11 or something around there. So with that being said, this is really on brand for, at this time of year when you're looking at him trying to get some wins. So that's not surprising at all.
Renee, how about your boy Trump trying to tip the scales? Come on, Big Ten, play
Yeah.
some football, America needs.
And to A-Dub's point, I was talking to my parents about it. Trump knows he's
Snook
never going to
and
win.
Hey,
Hey, what up, man?
hey.
That's my girl.
Okay, but look, we were talking about Trump knows he's not going to win the minority vote. There's certain votes he knows he's not going to win. The same way y'all were like, no, he's not going to win New York. He doesn't. I think the goal is to steal votes. It's not to win the whole
Or
vote. It's to
suppress votes.
steal some votes away from the other side. That's always the plan. So Trump is doing Trump things. He's on a campaign. I agree with Derwin. Y'all got to get y'all's house in order. What are y'all doing? Like, we're watching everything unfold on the outside. That's supposed to happen on the inside. Like, don't air your dirty laundry. And it looks like there's laundry all over the place. That's what it feels like to me. So I'm not surprised that Trump's involved in this because it's a mess. It's a lot going on right now. And so I don't know. I think for the kids, it's tough. That's a roller coaster.
Kelly, only 3 of those Power 5 conferences. We'll come back to Kelly. Guys, let's go to the next. Hey, live TV, live stream.
Things
Here on
happen.
Quick.
He has a storm going on right now, too,
There's
to
a
her
storm.
defense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Storm. Let's go. We'll keep it in the political realm. Real quickly, Kelly, we'll get your thoughts real quickly on the Big Ten. Will they play this year? Just know real quick. We didn't hear you.
She
No.
said no.
And shout out to my man Kevin Warren, home team.
What's the connection with Kevin Warren?
My husband played in Minnesota and he was legal for the team. So I know him like super well. And then he's also really good friends with the president of USA Track and Field, one of the first black men to graduate from Notre Dame School of Law.
Mm.
So yeah, like
Talk that talk, girl.
in the
Yeah,
history,
like
right?
super dope, super dope. And I just want to know when the whole shut up and play thing, where does that line get blurred? If it's shut up and dribble, shut up and play, like you stay on your side, we'll stay on our side. Like don't try to blur the lines because it's comfortable.
Yeah.
True.
Shout out your hubby real quick for those that don't know that last name.
Look,
Jasper
look, look, look.
Brinkley,
You girl,
you
you
know.
better. You better.
America might not know. You got to say his name.
Yeah,
It's audio
his
and
name's Jasper Brinkley. His
there you
fine
go.
self played in
Woo,
Minnesota,
fine
New
self.
York, Dallas Cowboys,
Mm.
and
Okay.
Arizona Cardinals. So yep,
All right, ladies, that's how you
5
introduce
years
your
strong.
man, just like that. That should be in a manual somewhere. That's how you introduce your man right there. Coach K, clip that. We're gonna send it around the country. You say, ladies, you're doing it wrong. This is how you say, I got you, bro. All right, we'll keep it.
I like that.
Animal Crossing. We're talking about political stuff and the political winds and politics. Animal Crossing, video game, right? Kids love it. They're gonna have signs of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Joe and Harris, Biden Harris 2020. What are you guys' thoughts? And you see it, and it's like conveniently placed in like the old people's yards and things of that nature. But it looked pretty cool. I'm like, okay, but then I'm like, all right, where's the Trumpers at? You know, they got to have theirs. Where's the MAGA hats? So your thoughts on seeing Animal Crossing and the Biden Harris ticket going virtual, which I think is smart. Hey, Willie.
Yeah, and so there's actually when you start going and looking at the game when they actually did inventory versus how many of the Harris Biden ticket versus Trump's on Trump's side, those statements, there are actually more MAGA statements in that game than there are Trump Biden statements. So they're already there, right? So and then the second thing, it really makes sense. It also makes sense
It's a
because
kids game, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about a kids game.
right,
Right.
right.
I'm
So it's
so
already
confused.
there. It's already there.
Oh
So
boy.
and then the second thing that where it sort of makes sense as well when you start looking at like the demographics of the game, because
Mhm.
this is a game that has this franchise is an older franchise. This is just the latest iteration of it. So
Yep.
you have people that are in their 20s and 30s that played it 8 years ago, 10 years ago. So
Mm.
they're playing it now. Those people, of
Eligible
course,
voters, ladies and
Yeah, as
gentlemen.
long as they can
exactly
vote.
right. Exactly right. And then on the other side of that as well, you know what? This game also has a very pronounced presence from a woman's perspective as well. So with that being said, these are the demographics that'll probably win this election. So that's not surprising to me at all that they're using this game to make this statement.
Speaking of women, we'll go to our two esteemed young ladies here on this show right here. Kelly, throwing that hair around, girl. We see you right there. What do you think here with the other statement by Biden and Harris?
I love it. I think that they're doing everything that Hillary didn't, because you have to be careful that we have to campaign to who's to our biggest, demographics, women and this young generation who is on fire. They are not their parents and their grandparents. They are on fire for causes. So I think that that is a smart, like over the moon smart move to market to them in the way that they accept, information.
Renee, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think that even, there was talks about, oh, Biden first he was gonna do his campaign from the house, and now he's leaving the house, and you hear these different talks, but the main point is that times are changing. Like the fact that he could even campaign from the house, and I know that this is unusual circumstances because of COVID,
Mhm.
but electronics are the way. Like that's the Joe Biden was just interviewed by Cardi B, and that's not even new. Like, she's been interviewing presidents
Mhm.
apparently, but the reason I say that is because what was considered normal before in politics and what was considered traditional before in politics, first of all, Trump blew that out the water with what's normal and what's okay. And now you see different people just finding out different ways. Before you used to go city to city, campaign, shake
Right.
hands, kiss babies. Now you're doing Zoom calls with Cardi B. Now you're in games. Now everything is changing. So I like that the way of getting information out is changing because it has changed.
Right. Well, Gen Z and me, I think that's apropos right now. Durham, well, yeah, got to give a shout out to that new show right there.
I appreciate that.
Durham World, your thoughts here, Animal Crossing?
I think it's brilliant. I mean, you got to get the word out to everyone that's eligible to vote. I mean, I'm always on my phone. I play all kinds of games on my phone. Most of this generation, we were stuck at home for months. So what do we have? TV and our phones, pretty much. Everyone's doing Zoom calls. So if that game is the hot game right now, I'm a coin master guy myself, but if that game is the game right now, I mean, you got to be nuts not to somehow get your message into the game and get it out there. So they're doing a brilliant thing because we need everybody, all hands on deck for this election in November.
Keeping the esports theme going, let's give some roses to Washington Wizards. Wizards District Gaming, NBA 2K League champs, won it live on ESPN2 on Friday. Down one game, won the next three to win that series best of 5, 3-1 over the Wizards, over the Warriors gaming team. So yeah, and they earned it. We talked about this yesterday, A. Willie. They earned it, knocked out the undefeated 16-0 Toronto Raptors uprising
Yeah,
team.
that was crazy.
Dave Fry, the MVP. Wizards took on all comers, very deserving champs. A. Willie.
Yeah, they did a great job. And as we were talking, when we were speaking about them yesterday, and it's sort of apropos for the conversations that we've been having, you can have a great year, but 72-10 Bulls don't mean a thing without the ring, right? So when you go through and you have that type of year, that pressure continues to mount and mount and mount and mount. And you have to make sure that you're not internalizing all of the expectations that people are throwing on you from an external standpoint. So especially, so when you look at this and you're looking at them being a really good team, they had a really good year. Right. So they're a really good team to begin with. So if you're a really good team to begin with, and then you're playing against a team that's one of the all-time greats, essentially you're playing with house money. Nobody expects you to win, but you're really good to begin with. So no, I think it's a good deal. Certainly continuing to watch the 2K League and make sure that it continues to get more steam. And we'll see if there will be more teams in the NBA that'll have that one-to-one relationship as the league continues to grow.
22 teams in the NBA won across seas with I forget it's Gin something. I forget the name of it. Sorry, it slipped my mind. D-Dubs, $420,000 to split between the six guys. Now I think when I go back to my first season with the NBA 2K League, I think 25% goes to the team, if I'm not mistaken. So they'll get 75%. They'll split it between the six of them. Now, that's some pretty good coin, D-Dubs.
Oh man, they deserved it. As you said, when you knock off an undefeated team, sky's the limit. So even when they lost the first game in the championship round, they had to feel confident that they could pull it through. And hats off to them. They lose the first game in that championship round and reel off the next three. That is money well earned. Congratulations to Washington.
Well, we talked about this, Renee. Who runs the league? Well, we know who runs the district and the league right now. It's the Wizards District Gaming Team. Nobody beats the Wiz. And I love the fact that the team allowed them to come to Capital One Arena. I think that's what it is now in DC. It's changes all the time, it seems like. But they got to celebrate Jumbotron and everything down. They rolled out the red carpet, man. That's what you're supposed to do when you have that.
That's what you're supposed to do. Yeah. You do what you want when you pop in. But no, what I actually think, something that A-Dub said, it rang large to me because my senior year at UConn, we went 39-0. And the reason I say that is because I was terrified. No, I was terrified because I'm like, dang, I wish we would have just dropped one during the season because now we're heading into the March Madness with all this pressure. And the reason I'm fine with the pressure, but again, it's the media, it's everyone telling us that there's no way UConn could get beat. Everybody knows those are trap games. So we went into the March Madness, just every game was a trap game. And so I related with the Raptors because it's your worst nightmare. It's Golden State, 73-9. You know what I mean? It's your worst nightmare. You win all the games in the regular season, and then somebody else is getting the confetti at Capital One Stadium. Like what? So I'm just like, oh my gosh, Toronto, because I can remember they were rolling. We were even talking about it was almost a cheat code with the Wi-Fi, and we were talking about so many different animations in the game, and then for them not to win.
I know.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, Renee, I'm triggered.
Renee, not only did they not win, they got swept.
Yeah, that was
just the killer. So it's like, no, the district, the Wiz.
Yeah, that's terrifying. That's terrifying. That's like anybody that's been on top. It's what because it's what coaches talk about in the locker room. Don't think you're gonna come in here and win off of the fact that you haven't lost all season. Like it's like what they preach about, and you're like, of course we don't think that. And then if it happens, it's like that's the worst ever. So that I'm triggered. I go out. My heart goes out to them.
Yeah, and Kelly, we were talking about it as well. I was there in 2007. Saw those Patriots ran through everybody 16-0, but you can see it towards the end of the season. the weight of the world on them. Then they got, because they first playoff game they played very well. Second playoff game, AFC Championship game, people forget they only won that game by like 8 points, which was unheard of for them back then. So you knew then, and plus the Giants, your hubby's old team, played them very well in that Week 16 matchup. And the guys talked about it after it was done. You could just tell just the relief. Like, man, I'm just glad this thing is over with. Your thoughts here on the Wizards, man, doing the unthinkable, beating the Toronto Raptors, who I think only went to a game 3 like maybe 2 or 3 times all year. That's how dominant they were.
Well, I love the steam that the league has. And, I love when the unexpected happens. In track and field, I always say, like, the finish line knows no favorites. So the
Ah,
scoreboard knows no
Oh my
favorites.
God.
Like, just because somebody has won a bunch of games, like, we see it all the time. It doesn't mean that that team is necessarily going to win, because every time you start a new race, every time you start a new game, you're not going off of what you did before. You're starting from 0 to 0, and that is it. So I never bank on the favorite. I always love the underdog. So it was super exciting for me.
good stuff. Compete Forever on Black News Channel this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, episode 14, Coach K, I believe. Phoenix Extra Life, me and this young lady right here, the highlighter, the yellow sweater, sweaty, the hoodie,
Oat.
Hoodie.
the
Alt.
hoodie, the hoodie,
Hoodie.
alt. Okay.
Oh, he's gonna ruin my outfit if he keeps this
Alt,
up.
control,
Get
alt,
on with
delete.
it, Larry Laptop.
Alt,
This is
control, alt, delete. Is it alt or alt?
Vote.
Volt. Oh,
VOLT.
like a volt
Volt.
of,
I
okay.
know you lying.
Alt.
Alt.
Don't show
Saturday,
your kids this, Larry.
no, Saturday, Sunday, 11 a.m., 6 p.m. Eastern, Black News Channel, Dish Network, Comcast, Xfinity, Charter, Spectrum Cable Networks, other networks, cable system coming online later this month. I believe AT&T, DirecTV. Then they'll have the whole shebang, so you'll be able to
Wow.
watch it throughout the country there. Episode 14, NBA 2K League, NBA 2K event we did, Phoenix Extra Life. Myself, Renee, I think it was $2,000 on the line that weekend. You'll sit this weekend. Had some pretty good stuff.
Yep.
Had the little baby we just showed. Somebody, a little baby, had the little underwear on while his dad was getting skull drunk by like 30 points. So that was pretty good. Lastly, phone calls, guys. 877-853-5242.
Oh yeah.
Meeting ID esports extra. 377-678-9872 at the pound button twice to join the show. First person that calls in, we got a bunch early and in the middle of the show. First person that Coach K pulls in, we'll get this Madden code. We'll ask you which one do you want. We'll go Xbox or PS4 because we got a few. So first person that calls in gets the Madden code, and it can't be you, Derwin. So stop doing it.
Derwin is like,
Derwin, tell Austin to get off the phone.
I need that PS4 code.
Cheat code. But yeah, guys, it's been a great show. Thanks. I'm only gonna give this 30 seconds. If not, I'll just do it on Twitter because the people on the Twitter anyway.
yeah.
Let me
And
know
to their defense, so the people at home know there were people calling in right away, and we said we're giving away at the end of the
At the end
show.
of the
So
show.
now people have ADD and they're probably not paying attention to us. And now that's like, here's the codes waiting for you. Let me go text Junior right now. What's that number?
877-853-5247. Esport Extra. Shout out to
They're probably watching that Miami Heat beating up on the Bucks right now. That's probably what they're watching.
Man, they're about to go down 2-0-2, huh?
75-66 in the third with 6:49 to go.
Okay, that's 9 points. Okay,
Yeah.
they'll come back. Who would have thought a Boston Miami conference final? This is what 2012 all over again
In Orlando.
Yeah, in Orlando. That's right. We got a phone call. Okay, it worked.
Oh.
Let's go ahead and go to the phone lines here. Live here on esportsXTRA, the only live call-in sports show talking traditional sports, esports, and gaming. Larry Ridley here. Who are we speaking with right now? Caller, who is this? We'll go ahead and unmute him. Who am I speaking with?
Matt.
Who?
Matt.
You got to spell that, dude. I don't.
Matt.
What up, Matt?
M-A-T-T, I think.
Hey, Matt.
Did you say Matt? M-A-T-T?
Matt.
Okay.
Hello.
Matt, where are you calling? Where are you calling from?
DC.
DC? Oh, you run the district
Chocolate
too. All right,
City.
brother. Chocolate City. Are you chocolate? Don't answer that. X21. Do you want a PS4 or an Xbox code?
Xbox.
Xbox. We got you, brother. Do me a favor. We need to get his information, Coach K. What is your
Larry, I actually have a funny thing for you. You actually were on my podcast a couple years ago, if you remember.
Is it Matt Shipe? Is that what it is? Who I'm speaking with?
Yes.
Matt
Yes.
Shipe, what is going on, good sir? How are you, buddy?
Good. How you doing?
How did you get in before everybody else?
It's rigged.
He got the code.
Yeah.
Matt Shipe.
Somebody's gonna demand a recount.
Hey,
he
Matt.
got the red phone.
Matt, do me a
Yeah.
favor. DM me on Twitter, and I'll send that PS4, that Xbox code over to you immediately. Okay, kind sir?
All right. Thank you again, guys. Appreciate the show.
problem.
It was
All
wonderful
Later,
today.
Matt.
Oh,
Thanks
thank
for
you,
calling
Matt.
in,
Sir,
Matt.
Matt.
That is Matt Shipe. Yeah, young man has a podcast. I was on his podcast a few years ago. Does a really good job down there in the district. We're going to hang up on him, Coach K. Let's get out of here. Renee's got to go. I got to go. Everybody's got to go. Pushing the right buttons. Thank you, bro. Hey, Willie, down there in the DFW. Tell Siobhan I said, what up?
The boss, no question.
D-Dubs. Backstroke. You got to get it in, get it right. When you coming back to Brooklyn, man? Next week?
Next week, I'll be back this weekend.
Kelly, Wells, Houston, H-Town. Are we gonna see you tomorrow? Right?
Yeah, I'm around. I'm
You're
always
around?
here for you guys.
Okay,
I
well,
like
always
that.
here.
I'm around.
and Renee Montgomery. She is a star amongst stars. You can catch her on TMZ. I
Yes.
saw her on like
Oh.
MSNBC, CNN. You did something with CBS the other day. What is it, cartoon?
Okay.
Are you in cartoons now?
Oh man, no,
nice.
they're tuning out the news. I think that's so cool. Like Stephen Colbert they have a cartoon news now, and I literally got interviewed by cartoon characters, and it was like the best thing that ever happened.
You
Honestly,
get all of this stuff, man. You're getting a lot of roses, man. Why don't you throw your bros way, man? Look, I look out for you. Look out for you.
I get surprised. I get surprised every time. I'm like, when my manager calls me, he's like, "Hey, Stephen Colbert wants you on your show." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So I'm just as surprised as you guys are.
But
That's all I'll say
supposed to
about it.
bring the crew with you. You're supposed to bring your boy.
Listen, if I had any control, the crew would be with me everywhere. I'm barely in the door. Like I'm surprised they want me in there. That's where we at with that.
Renee, stars have an entourage, baby. You got to have a posse.
Esports Extra takes the DR. That's why we need to have a show like locations. So we got to get that kind of fancy.
Oh, I
So
know
we
why
gotta
you want
do.
I know why you want to go to the DR. I know exactly why you want to go to the DR. And you know what? I love it.
Hello, somebody. We just saw Serena Grace model the ring. Like, hello.
And she's got a very pretty sister too, by the way.
Oh, I was waiting on it.
Yeah. You put it on. And
Shouts to
I'm not
my
gonna-
makeup artist. Shouts to the makeup artist with the bestest. You see, she got me.
Yes,
always-
beat to the gods, KC Beauty. Let's get out of here, Renee. Your time is valuable.
guy.
Throw it up
Guy.
for the A. Snook and Diddy.
Hey.
Baby. Renee, Serena, everybody, bye-bye. We got to go. Esports Extra Live, the only live call-in sports show. Traditional sports, gaming. We'll see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern. Bye.